It's Monday, August 26th, 2024, and we are 70 days away from the election. Welcome to today's Make It Make Sense mini episode. I'm Grant Herms. I also want to say up top here, just really quick, that there is some discussion of sexual assault and rape coming up. It's not graphic. There's no detail. There's just mention of it. But if that's something that bothers you, or you're listening with the kids and you don't want to have to explain that to them, just know that that is coming. Today on the show, we are also watching another countdown, the countdown to the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. That is set for September 10th, and I know you already had that circled in big red marker on your calendar, but it is not that far away. It is just 15 days away. Now, the debate is set to be held by ABC, but last night at 10 p.m., Donald Trump posted this to his social media site, Truth Social, that is signaling he is getting cold feet about debating Harris, and I'm going to read this to you in full. Here it is. I watched ABC Fake News this morning. Both lightweight reporter Jonathan Karl's, and then he questions whether Karl is spelled with a K or a C, ridiculous and biased interview of Tom Cotton, who was fantastic, and their so-called panel of Trump haters. And I ask, why would I do the debate against Kamala Harris on that network? Will panelist Donna Brazile give the questions to the Marxist candidate like she did for crooked Hillary Clinton? Will Kamala's best friend, who heads up ABC, do likewise? Where is little George Slopadopoulous hanging out now? Will he be involved? They've got a lot of questions to answer with 3 exclamation marks. Why did Harris turn down Fox, NBC, CBS, and even CNN? Stay tuned, also with 3 exclamation marks. So for those of you not on Truth Social, you're not missing much there. I'm not going to run through all of that because not all of it is important. The Donna Brazile thing he's referencing is in 2016, Brazile, who was a Democratic operative and the Democratic Party's vice chair, leaked topics of a town hall to Hillary Clinton. Brazile is now a contributor to ABC News and says that leak is something that she will forever regret. The Harris's best friend thing is likely a reference to the co-chair of Disney Entertainment, Dana Walden. Her husband and Doug Emhoff have been friends for nearly 30 years. Disney has publicly assured that Walden is only involved in the company on the business and finance side and has nothing to do with the content on ABC News. So all of this is to say that Trump is lashing out again, but here's the thing. Trump has been trying to get out of this debate from the moment Biden dropped out of the race. If you remember, the debates were set when it was Trump and Joe Biden, and it was the Biden campaign that wanted that early debate that turned out to be what was roundly considered the worst debate performance from a presidential candidate. After Biden dropped out, Trump then threatened to pull out of the ABC debate, citing how unfair it was that he would now have to be on stage against Kamala Harris because he says he made the deal with the Biden campaign, except his campaign never actually made a deal with ABC about only facing off against Biden. Instead, it was whoever the Democratic nominee was. Now, that went both ways, too. If the shoe had been on the other foot and Trump had dropped out of the race, Biden would have had to have faced off against the eventual Republican nominee. Then Trump said he was in for the September 10th debate on ABC against Harris, and while he's been at his rallies, he continues to dwell on why he said yes to debating Biden in the first place at all, while also saying that he thinks Harris is stupid and that he can beat her easier than he can beat Biden. Then, at the very beginning of August, Trump tried something else to get out of the ABC debate, citing he had an ongoing lawsuit against the network and its political anchor, George Stephanopoulos. Now, he sued ABC and Stephanopoulos over an interview with South Carolina Republican Representative Nancy Mace, where Stephanopoulos pressed her on how she, as a rape survivor, could support Donald Trump, who had been found liable for sexual assault. And in that interview, Stephanopoulos repeatedly used the word rape. Now, Trump said that he was suing Stephanopoulos for defamation because Stephanopoulos kept saying that. Now, Trump was found liable for sexually assaulting and twice defaming writer E. Jean Carroll and was forced to pay her nearly $100 million. The judge, however, clarified, saying the jury's finding, quote, the finding that Ms. Carroll failed to prove that she was raped within the meaning of the New York penal law does not mean that she failed to prove that Mr. Trump raped her, as many people commonly understand that word. Indeed, as the evidence at trial recounted below makes clear, the jury found that Mr. Trump, in fact, did exactly that. But nonetheless, Trump sued ABC, and tried to use that in a way to maybe duck the debate, but he seems to have sort of left that behind as a tactic too. His campaign also suggested new debate dates on Fox and on NBC on September 4th and September 25th, respectively, but the Harris campaign never agreed to those dates, saying they're already set for September 10th on ABC. That brings us all the way back around to what Trump said last night and what the campaigns are saying today. Apparently, there is a conflict between the Trump and Harris campaigns over the microphones. The Trump campaign says it wants the mics muted for each candidate after their time is up, just like the CNN debate. The Harris campaign doesn't, because they know leaving the mics open is better for them because they say Trump just can't help himself. A Harris campaign spokesperson told Politico, who got the scoop about this debate, that Trump is, quote, shook by Harris and that they're looking to find a way out, and that Harris would be happy to get the chance to have, quote, exchanges should Trump interrupt her. The Trump campaign is saying that it's Harris who is trying to wiggle her way out of this debate by changing the rules about the microphones, sort of a I know you are, but what am I defense. Then Trump said this morning, when he was asked by a reporter about his post online, that he actually didn't care either way and that he preferred that the mics be open, so completely undercutting and contradicting what his own campaign is saying, and I would not blame you at this point for feeling just a little bit dizzy. While the outline of the debates, who was debating who, was done with the nominees in mind, the actual rules were made between the Trump and Biden campaigns, and the Harris campaign told the network from the beginning that the rules were subject to change, and the network has seemed to agree to that to a certain extent. With the DNC bringing in record ratings and this being the first debate between Harris and Trump, ABC is looking at this as a huge ratings driver, meaning a huge money maker for them, and they don't want to do anything that could jeopardize losing this debate because one of the campaigns backs out. So, all of that being said too, why would Trump not want to face Harris? Well, he still doesn't have a line of attack against her, or at least not one that's resonating with voters writ large. Like I've talked about before, Trump seems to be split between trying to say Harris is a radical San Francisco communist to going to the other side of this, saying that she's just Biden 2.0, to then saying that she can't be trusted and flip-flops on issues. None of those have really taken root for people, and the mixed messages kind of muddy the waters. When he was running against Biden, Trump had his plan, saying Biden is old, inflation went up under his watch, border crossings went up under his watch, and Biden is too old to be president. He just doesn't have those things against Harris. The only thing that might stick a little bit in those things is the border crossings part, because Republicans have tried to make Harris out as the quote-unquote border czar for Joe Biden. That's not really what she did. There was never actually a position called the border czar. She was in charge of finding the root causes of immigration in Central America and then working with those nations to solve some of those problems. The actual border was still under Biden and the DHS and the Border Patrol. And the Harris campaign and Democratic surrogates have largely made that known. So it's a competing narrative, but it is one that Trump might be able to make stick. His campaign likely doesn't want him up there with her, especially not with an open mic before the debate, because the last two worst performances at a presidential debate were Trump's performances in 2016 and 2020. In 2016, it was the debate against Hillary Clinton in which he frequently interrupted her and then stalked her around the stage. It was unsettling to watch. By some accounts, it was frightening to watch. Hillary Clinton herself said it made her skin crawl to see the images afterward. That was then outdone by the first debate in 2020, where every time Biden spoke, Trump interjected. It ended with many moments of the debate devolving into unintelligible bickering, and viewers, by and large, came away thinking that Trump was at best childish to at worst unstable. So a hot mic is not his friend. There's also one other piece I want to talk about here too, which is, in the end, does any of this actually matter? Do debates really matter that much when it comes to people making up their minds? In any other election year, the answer, the research says, not really. By the time the debates roll around, people generally have their minds made up about which candidate they'll be voting for, and they already know what they need to know about each person. Now, there are people in the middle, but by and large, the debates don't do a whole lot. But this election cycle is unlike any other election cycle we've ever seen, so the debates could matter quite a bit, especially when so few voters have a real defined idea of who Kamala Harris is and what her policies are. Finally, the clock is ticking on all of this. If they can't agree to the debate on the 10th, the Harris campaign has already turned down the next two proposed by Trump and says they might want one in October, but that means likely cutting into time where people are already voting. 18 states or territories allow for early or absentee voting in the window of 25 to 50 days before the election, including Georgia and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is that 50-day state. That's according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, and it could mean that not every voter would be able to see the debate before casting their vote, which just isn't something either campaign should want. But as a consolation prize, if it doesn't happen, we still do have a vice presidential debate on the books for October 1st, so at least that's something. Okay, that is it for today's Mims Mini. Please rate and review the show if you liked it and haven't already. Hit the bell, hit the like button on YouTube, and give the show a follow on social media. It's Mims News Pod. It's MIMS News Pod, all one word on every platform. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Make It Make Sense Substack, where I've got bonus content and new articles like the one that just went up today for paid subscribers, all about why Trump keeps popping up on the Zinternet. And if you don't know what that is, you should subscribe to find out. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm Grant Herms, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.